So we're going to try something here. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But I want to try a little bit of a YouTube channel. Maybe kind of bring neon back a little bit. While I learn, you guys are going to learn with me. Backstory. My Uncle Jimmy, a lot of people know him by Hobo. It's a very interesting nickname. But my Uncle Jimmy, since about 1997 or so, was a glass bender. Blue glass. Neon tubes, things like that. You know, you see neon signs out. We've got a few of them back here. There's a big old, Miller Lite sign. So he was a glass blower. Repaired signs a lot here in town, and a couple areas outside of town. Well, a couple of years ago, he passed away, and nobody's messed with his neon since. It's just kind of been put off in his shop and kind of been stored there for the past couple of years. Well, it almost got loaded up and thrown into a storage unit. And I asked my cousin, I said, what are you going to do with it? And so now, long story short, I have a neon plant. So it's kind of neat. Right now, we have a Kitco. All this stuff needs to be kind of cleaned up a little bit. But what this is it's a glass cutter. There's a band that goes around here. I try to, use the knowledge that he did teach me when I was hanging out with him while he was blowing glass, and put it toward this. Basically, what this does is it has a thin wire, kind of like a filament in a light bulb. When you push this thing, right, push it down, and it goes around there, it gets super hot. And he always wet his finger and tapped the glass, and it just broke apart. Sure, that works. But the filament was bad. So I found a place online, West Coast Custom Designs, that sell this stuff by the foot. So I don't know how much I'm going to need. I'm going to play around with this glass here. I don't even know. It's just glass that my uncle had in his shop. I don't even know what glass is what. Right? So I don't know what size it is, any of that. So West Coast Custom Glass, signs, whatever. Have this neat little tool here that I can take this glass, super sharp side there, so I don't want to touch that, and run it through these holes until I find out what size glass that is. So this is 15 millimeter glass. If my memory serves me correct, this was really used in like outdoor signs, big tubes, borders around buildings, inside boxed signs. You see those signs a lot that are cans with a plexiglass front, whether it's just a blue front, a red front, whatever, a colored front. A lot of times it would have 15 millimeter glass. Not this. This is clear. So this is only going to show you the color your gas is, whether it's neon or argon, a reddish orange or a blue. But it would have, here's a piece right here, a fluorescent coated glass. So when that blue argon, because it would be argon to get you white, would react with the color coating, you would get a white light. You'd have blue glass, so you'd still see it glow blue here at the electrode, but your glass itself would illuminate whatever color. The blue mixed with whatever color gives you white. They have multiple colors white. I think my uncle just bought white because some of his signs that he repaired, you can still see like the white's a little different than the other white. Not a big deal. He fixed signs that way. But these would go behind, in those can lights. So the color white really wasn't a huge deal. But you'd have these letters that have the curves and things like that. Well, before LEDs, you couldn't get fluorescent tube lighting that was curved. You couldn't get any lighting that was curved. So in the boxes, in the cans of all those was neon. And it was bent into the glass, into the the curves of the letter and illuminated that way. So interesting fact basically is all of the signs that you see, beer signs, things like that are neon, even the old signs, and I say old, I mean some signs are still backlit with neon. New stuff is generally going to be LED, but sign repairs is still going to be neon. So I heard somebody coming down the road. So all those signs that you would see, uh, CarQuest, whatever, O'Reilly's signs, AutoZone signs were neon actually, but like O'Reilly's and Walmart signs on the side of the building, things like that, all backlit by neon glass. Eventually, I know you see all this, open area down here. There's a little too breezy. I'm not going to be able to burn glass today, basically because it's too windy. If I try to burn glass today, the flames won't be steady. The glass will cool down too fast and crack, and so on and so forth. So we've actually got to enclose this side. We're going to enclose the bottom, and we're going to enclose behind the camera here, enclose all this, and probably put a cheap little roof on so that we're not heating everything. But once we do that, then I can start playing around with some glass. Once these burners get going, even though there's no insulation on these walls, it will warm up in here. It get 70, 75 degrees in here in the wintertime. So there's that. I've got a glass file here. Just ordered this. I'm not any good at cutting glass with a file. So that is why I've got the Kitco. Original Kitco. West Coast. I'm going to say this because the guy was super friendly, really knowledgeable. West Coast Customs Designs, LLC. Those guys right there for some supplies. They have one of these. A gentleman, they're selling them there on their website, but it's not a Kitco. Kitco's the original. There's a new one called a Firewire. Some guy redeveloped them and put them back out because this company no longer sells these. I don't even think they're a company anymore. So somebody brought it back to life. They sell this wire. You can get it by the foot, or you can even get them pre-cut. I got it by the foot. Probably should have got it pre-cut because I hate, fabbing my own wire. But I didn't know. I figured I'd get more bang for my buck this way. We'll see, right? Maybe I do, maybe I don't. But neon to me is super cool. I really want to see it get popular again. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But if anything, like I want it popular, one, so I can still buy the parts and still buy the neon that I need, to learn this craft. And that's what it is, right? It's an art. It's a dying art. I don't think there's anybody in Lawton, Oklahoma that does neon anymore. I think this might be the only neon plant in this part of the state. Are there people in Oklahoma that are still blowing glass? I'm sure. I am sure, but they're not here. So that's where we come in here with my uncle's stuff. So we're going to play around with some 15 mil glass, right? And to do the 15 mil glass, we need to kind of figure out, right, like how long these pieces need to be. So what I've done here is I've bent that around the piece of glass. We're going to loosen this nut up here. This is an Uncle Jimmy nut, a hobo nut, because it's not the right one. He probably lost the right one sometime while he was in his shop. Or he never had it. the truth is, this neon plant was used when he got it, right? So there's no telling what he had or did not have. I, unfortunately, can honestly say I did not pay enough attention when he was doing this to know what he was actually doing. Like, I'd watch it because it was neat, but that's about it. So now I need to move this thing over here to, ooh, that's loose. That's not good at all. We're going to go to number 3 because I'm going to have to take this guy apart and do some work on it. So you have your common, then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, right? These are your heats, basically. These are how hot you want your wire to get when you're cutting your glass. West Coast Custom Designs. I'm gonna do it again because I really like the guy. I think his name was Steve. I'm not 100% sure on that, but he was super nice. Understood what I was doing, and they had stuff that I needed for neon. But those are different temperatures. On their website, they tell you kind of what size glass is each one. I'm just going to start with number 3 because number 2 is broken. 3, I think, is good for 15 to 18 millimeter glass, something like that. So if you turn it on, I got to go back over here and plug it in. Turn it on, I get a nice red light, but this guy's not hot yet. It doesn't get hot until you squeeze it down and pull the trigger. And then you see that thing got cherry red. So it's supposed to give you a super, super, super clean cut. So if I come in here, put that around that glass, it's getting super hot, super red, right? We're going to go here for just a little bit. I can't do it the way my uncle did. He would wet his, like I said, he'd wet his finger. There, it broke. I heard it snap, come right off. Not a perfect cut, but that's when you get it over to the fire here and you can polish your glass. So that's super sharp right now. You don't want to touch it. I mean, you can touch it, but it can cut you, right? It's still hot, but I can show you polishing, I guess. Well, let's worry about that in just a minute. I want to see if this will actually cut again. This is an electrode that I, fudged the end up on it a little bit. So wonder if I can save it, right? Because electrodes aren't cheap. Like everything else, it costs money, right? I'm hearing it crack. There it is. That broke off pretty clean. Now, what I can tell you is it's sharp, right? So I have a sharp end there and a sharp end here. Now, I might be able to weld those together. The wind has calmed down. So let's see if I can weld that together, and I'll bring you along if I can figure out a place to put the camera. Over here. So one other interesting thing, let me move the camera around a little bit and just kind of show you around this thing a little bit. So here is the neon plant, right? I've got it in my shop back here at the back of my barn. You got to have your propane, right? See, my uncle, bless his heart, that's water line being used as your propane lines. But you know what? He's done it like this for 20 years, longer than that. God, it's been 25 years, right? So 97, 25, about 25 years. So there we got our gas right here. There's no air for that, but we'll let that go for now. That's all we need, right? We're not going to burn with that. That's not hot enough to melt the glass, but I'm just getting it started so I can show you around. This here is a ribbon burner. The ribbon burner, you can change the size of your flame right here. So you can have a long flame for making long burns in your glass, long curves. The manifold, this guy's old, right? So this is your neon glass here, your argon glass here. These actually are not made anymore. I talked to the guy from West Coast Custom Signs, and he told me about them. That these were originally light bulbs, but the light bulb manufacturer is no longer there, so they have different size flasks. So they're called flasks, gas flasks. These are like 1.5 liter. The new ones are 2 liters, so they're going to be about the size of a 2-liter bottle. This is here. This is going to show you your vacuum and how much gas you're putting back in, because you're going to come down here to nothing when you have a complete vacuum. And then when you need to put gas in, you open your valves here, and then this is going to come up to a number that you need for that specific glass. Each glass has its own number. Still learning that exact number. If anybody has that exact number, throw it down in the comments. Vacuum gauge. The thing is old. My uncle never actually knew where he was on his vacuum, just that it was good enough. So I might upgrade that a little bit. Need to get some new gummy connectors here. These are just, connections to the vacuum pump. But it's a gummy, really gummy connection. I can't remember exactly what it's called. The old vacuum pump down here, it's an old one. Senko Megavac, I think is what it is. Belt-driven vacuum pump. Again, the gummy down here is getting cracked. It's still not leaking, but I need to get that taken care of before it does. And then it's connected with a piece of glass. Glass is done a lot of times so that your bombarding doesn't carry through and come back into the metal in the vacuum pump, things like that. The manifold here is broken. When I get a little better at welding glass, I've got to fix this. This is where I'm going to hook up to the tube, and you hook up with little 5 mil glass here that goes to the tubulations right here. This one's got a plug on it. If I can get that off with one hand and holding the phone at the same time. Hold on. I'll put the phone down for just a half a second here. So that's tubulation right there. So on your electrodes, you have one electrode that does not have this tubulation on it. The other side has this. This is how you vacuum it down and then put your gas in. When it's done and your gas is in there, when the gas is in, you still have a vacuum. So when you heat this up and pull it apart, the vacuum inside the glass is going to cause that to collapse and seal on itself. So that's how you seal that up when you're done gassing it up. So again, argon, neon. If you're using argon, which is blue, so any of your whites, your greens, your yellows, anything that's using the blue gas with that white powdered glass, you're generally using argon. Now, you have to have mercury in argon. So you have to put a drop of mercury in there. Neon, so if you're doing red signs, clear glass, things like that, or even a coated glass but of red, or any other color that you might get with a red flame inside, you use neon. So neon glass, you're actually using neon and argon, and surprisingly, you're using argon quite a bit because again, anything white or blue or purple or any of those shades of hue are going to have argon. But you have to put mercury in it. So that's super dangerous. I have some mercury. I'm not ready to play around with the mercury part of it yet until I learn a little more. So again, there's another pump down here, and this is the air pump. There's a manifold and a storage tank right there. Not really a storage tank, but a buffer tank is what you'd really call that. And once you get that going, it takes that propane that you're feeding to your torches, puts air in it as well, because there's two lines that go to that propane line that goes in there. Once you get that going, you're going to see it. You're going to have flame. So we're gonna get the pump going. Now that flame, once the air catches up, is going to clean that flame down, and we're going to have a flame to burn with. Now you see the problem here is the air is still kind of blowing it around a little bit. Now this is a hand torch. This is used to do some other things with neon, such as burning off the tubulation and sealing up your lines. So once you get your crossfire, which is what this one is, once you get that lit, you can come in here, got that one going, and my uncle would just hang it right there. So again, we've also got this guy over here. That one's not on right now. That's another valve over here. Don't need that because we're just going to do a little bit, you know, doing a couple things. It's not that great, right? Because I'm not good at this. So now I need to find the pieces of glass I was going to do that with. Was not that one. It was this one though. And where did I put... Y'all, I would lose my head if it wasn't connected. Here it is right there. So another device that my uncle has is this guy right here. And that's so you don't have to touch that glass when you're polishing and trying to weld them. Now again, the wind is blowing quite a bit. We're going to hit the glass up just a bit to polish it and get it warm so we're not breaking it, right? So that glass just cracked. When I got it hot, it cracked. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. And that's because I cut it, and it might not have been a very good piece of glass to begin with. The phone's not... I hate cell phone video. There we go. So you can see that crack right there? That's never going to work. So, we have a couple of options. One being, we cut it back past that crack. If we can. I don't know if that's actually going to work, but I don't want to waste more parts. There's no point in wasting any more electrodes for playing, because that's, while I'm learning, that's really all I'm doing is playing. So we're going to turn that guy on, and we're going to see if I can get that below the crack. And see if it works. Yeah, that one's bad. That ain't gonna work. So I'm gonna waste one more. Because why not, right? And I'm gonna double check it with my measuring deal. Again, got that from West Coast Customs. I want to make sure the one I'm using is the same size. So they're both 15, which is fine. Now this one's not a clean cut, so it may crack too. That darn wind. Okay, it's not cracking. So we're gonna come over here and we're gonna see if we can get them hot enough and pliable enough to weld them. Now, just remember, I'm not a professional at this. We're gonna make them real nice and push them together, pull them a little bit, keep them in the heat. They're going to crack. So that's a bad weld. My uncle would be embarrassed. It's on there, but I guarantee it's going to crack. One is it's cold. That wind blowing around over here is going to cause that to crack. So now all I can do is try to keep it warm-ish, right? And all I'm doing is trying to get it to cool down evenly instead of abruptly. Because if it goes down abruptly, that thing's, from my experience, right? I say that like I actually know what I'm doing. I'm trying to learn this too. But I'm trying to do what my uncle would tell me to do. You know, it's not straight. Again, I'm not trying to make this straight. I'm just trying to get it to weld because I have not been successful in that up to this point. So we've got some heat in the hole too. It's breezy, and I'm a little concerned about that because if that gets cold too quick, it is going to crack. I don't know why I jump every time, but that's not a good looking cut. Why is it not a good looking cut? I don't know. This is one of those moments I'm like, God, I wish I was as good as my Uncle Jimmy. That man could do anything. I'm gonna try his little get the glass wet thing again. Nothing. Let's try on this side over here that not that great. And it just keeps breaking. So now what I'm doing is I'm basically just polishing the glass, right? I broke that off and I'm polishing it because I don't want to cut myself. So you just come down here to the end, and when you heat it up, you're basically melting the sharp edges off, right? That's all you're doing, is we're polishing it to make it so that it's not going to cut. So that side's polished. I hear that 15 mil glass is harder to work with than like 10 mil. There's some 10 mil in there. I just really don't want to go through all of it before I learn what the hell I'm doing. Where's this camera pointed? So, I don't know. So, we got a few other things from West Coast Custom. I didn't buy a lot because, you know, I don't want to spend, you know, a lot of money on this because it's just right now a toy. But it's fun, kind of frustrating, way more than I thought it would be. It's probably my fault because there's a breeze in here. It's about 60 degrees. And that breeze is kind of the problem I've got. Whew, gosh darn. So, I'm trying to get this blow tip put in there. But that old boy Steve sold me these tips that I barely could get in there. So this is a neat little thing. It's a swivel for the blow tube, right? And what that's going to do is when I put it in a blow hose, which is right here. This is the blow hose. About 20 feet of it, way more than I probably need. But most people wrap this around their neck and then have this on the glass tube. So we're going to cut just a little bit here. I thought I had a pair of scissors back here, but apparently I did not. And we're going to cut this new tube. Now, I'm going to show you something cool with this. Why did I buy a tube, right? Didn't my uncle have a tube in all of his stuff? Yeah, he did. This is his tube. That tube was the same color as what I was just working with. I'm going to show you something here. Let's move this back over to here just a little bit and come back here to one time. This right here. Piece of glass with a hole in the end hooked up to this hose. Right? Now I've already cleaned it, but what you do, you wrap it around your neck, you put that in your mouth. This goes on the end of the neon, and you blow, and you blow so that when you hang a curve like that, you don't collapse it. Right? It keeps your neon from collapsing. Now the problem is, while this works fantastic actually for most people, right? I have a problem. And maybe if I put a bend on it so that I can't get the whole thing in my mouth, that's my problem. I hold it with my teeth. When I hold it with my teeth, I also have a habit of when I'm concentrating, I chew, I bite. Glass, biting. So I bought the new hose because why not, right? Let's have some new hose that maybe lasts me 30 years, like I'm sure that hose lasted Uncle Jimmy for 30 years. And then the neon shop I ordered from has these nice little blow mouthpieces. They're plastic, right? Well, fact of the matter is, I don't want to have glass shards in my mouth. So, we're going to try to put this hose on this plastic mouthpiece with all this hose barely fits on it. You got to get it. There it goes. Now I got this hose. You put it around your neck, and you got this hose here. Now I'm wetting that to make it easier to get this hose on. But once it's on there, guys, it's probably not going to come off anytime soon, right? So, this is a swivel, right? You see it's doing that? Well, it swivels that way too. That way, when I'm putting this into the end of the tube, uh, it doesn't get kinked up. And it does leak a little air. I did expect that because it's a swivel, right? Um, we're gonna try something. Be right back. I'm gonna go get another piece of tube, and we're gonna see if we can weld one together. Cut it in like 4 places. Every neon sign that you see starts with 4-foot sections of glass. This is some stuff that he had in there. We're gonna try it out. It's just clear. It is 15 mil. I can tell that because I got this thing here to tell me what size it is. What we're gonna do is we're gonna cut this in a few sections so I can try to weld it together. Right, so we're gonna heat this up. Only works when you turn that power on. We're gonna heat this guy up. Get it real nice and hot. Pull that thing loose. Look at there. It just came right off. Not the cleanest, but you know what? It doesn't really have to be. I mean, it does, but we're gonna try to make this a little better this time. We're gonna heat this one up. When I pull it apart, it's probably gonna break apart. And it did. That broke perfectly. Like that's probably one of the better ones right there. So we're gonna do the same thing here, and we're gonna cut this one here. So we're gonna have 4 pieces of glass. And the goal is to weld them together. See that? I still jumped. Every damn time I jump. So here's our glass. Okay, we're polished up. So, what we're going to do is, on one end of this, which is still pretty warm, we're going to plug this guy, right? So did I just melt that on there? Sure did. That glass is hot. Let me let that polished ends cool down just a little bit. That stunk. You don't have to polish them, but I'm clumsy, right? And I'm going to be over there working those and putting that glass together, and I'm going to sure as hell going to cut my fingers. And I didn't have this neon plant 24 hours before a broken piece of glass over on the manifold cut my thumb wide open. So now what we're going to do is come around the corner here. We're going to do that. Then we're going to find the coolest end to shove here we go. That one here has been tipped off, so it's sealed, right? And we're going to put this in the smooth end that we haven't done anything with. And it stays in there. Well, now I can turn. I'm still learning, folks. We're going to come over here and get these guys hot. That, y'all, is the worst welding job I've ever seen. My uncle would be giving me such a hard time. That's horrible. That's really bad. So the only way to fix that, right? Cut that weld off. Try again. Cause that's disgusting. So turn this old guy on again. Come over here. Cut that tip off. Getting better at cutting them off. That's so bad I can't even get that thing through there. Bad. Bad, bad, bad. But live to fight another day, right? If at first you don't succeed, what do you do? If at first you don't succeed, do that shit again until you figure it out. Right? Nobody likes a quitter. Again, this is great because it swivels. We're going to hit that because that's that one I cut. Now, this is the one I cut. So when you cut them like that, they do crack. There, that one just cracked right there. So I got it hot. The glass is falling off. That ain't no count. So we got to get this thing and see if we can break that off. You got a problem though. Y'all know what that is? Problem is my element there has gotten a little extra hot. Now we'll see. There we go. Not getting any cracks. I see a crack. There it is. Son of a bitch. Until I get this cracking thing figured out, the glass ain't no count. You have any cracks? Not getting any cracks. We don't have any cracks on that one. So the truth is, I think my fire's too hot too. So that one was almost good, but I went back for seconds because I wasn't happy with it. And when I went back for seconds, I deformed it and doubled up some glass. So when I got the glass all doubled up, what's going to happen is it's going to crack. And it's going to crack because you got thicker glass in one area than you do the other. You don't want that. And you're also going to notice, so there's a whole nother process. Let me grab my goofy line here that keeps falling. There's a whole nother process called bombarding. I haven't even got to that point yet because that's a really badass transformer that can kill you, and I don't want to be killed. I'm somewhat addicted to breathing, so I want to learn a little bit more on that. But you'll notice in this piece of glass, the air, my moisture from my breath is in this glass. So the bombarding, you put your electrodes on the side when I finally learned how to weld those things on, and you get it super hot with a vacuum. It gets rid of any moisture, any dust, any dirt, any of that stuff in there, and it basically purifies the inside of this glass and gets it ready for the neon itself for adding the gas. That's the first one I've welded. It might actually stay together. I don't know. So we're gonna set that guy right there. See, there's just so much cool air coming up from there that's gonna cause a problem. That darn cool air is gonna cause that to break. And it's just, again, it's cooler in here. So we're gonna try welding another one and see if I can pull this off or not. That was so sharp on that edge, it's tearing up my deal. It's all right. Let's put it on this side, which is a fresh piece of glass right there. And we need to get, I took it off, didn't I? Did. I need to clean up my work site. I've got so much broken glass down here. I can use that, or I can cork it with some good old-fashioned just cork, right? And that works excellent. So we're going to try this one. Now we hit it with the glass to see if it's going to crack where I cut it, right? Looks like we're good. So we're going to heat them up. Again, I think my fire's too hot. And it's welded together, not that great. Here, you want to hit pause on that, or off, or stop? I'm trying to record what I... Yeah. You think this is dumb, huh? My wife thinks recording is dumb. So, I got to figure out a better way of doing this. So we got these two pieces together. That's the first one I did because it's touchable. This one is not. Those are, y'all, those are some ugly, ugly welds, right? But the more I can figure this out, the more I learn it, the more we'll get good. This, surprisingly, look at it, came apart. Not strong enough. So what do? We're going to cut that one off. And we're going to cut this one off. So now we got two pieces of glass again. Right? So what we're going to do is we're going to put this in here. And damn it, if it takes me a year to get this right, then it takes me a year to get it right. We're going to hit it with the heat. We're going to hit it with the heat. Okay, we're not cracking. Okay? Okay. Interesting about this one. That is actually one of my best welds. You saw it right here. I don't know if that's any good, right? We'll see what happens, see how strong it is when it cools down, see if I can break it. But that is one of my best welds. So we're going to let that guy cool down there. We're going to pick this one up, right? This one is kind of cool, right? It's cool to touch. I'll bet it comes apart, right? See how easy that came apart? That was pitiful. I really don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't know. But we're going to try it again, right? Because until you get it right, That one there might actually hold. Should have cut that off. Be all right. That needs to be back in my mouth. That needs to be right there. So, hot damn. That's another damn piece of glass that might actually hold. Look at that. Might actually hold. It's not pretty by any means. You know, absolutely, my uncle was better at this than I am. Like, nobody's trying to pretend that I'm good at this day one. So now if these hold, right, that's the goal. If they hold, what I want to do, ooh, see, I almost cut myself on that. It's been slightly polished, but that's sharp. It's still got an edge on it. But I did polish it, so it didn't actually cut me. But I just did this. I rolled it in my hand, didn't even realize it. Had I not polished that, it'd been like that side, and I'd have cut the hell out of myself. Like, I'm gonna polish this guy here just a little bit. We're gonna polish to keep me from, you know, burning myself or cutting myself. So this is 15 mil glass. I don't know if it's true. I've talked to my uncle. I've talked to other people. I've read some forums on the internet, and 15 mil glass is supposed to be harder, and 10, 12 mil. 12 mil is a good one. 10 mil is supposed to be easier. I think this one here, these little pieces, which are the tubulation, I'm curious about those. So the tubulation, that's this little thing here on the end of the electrodes, right? That electrode might be able to be salvageable. Anyway, we're going to see what that is, right? Because that's the stuff. We're going to say that's 5. That's the stuff I need to build on the manifold. Trying to figure out how to do the manifold. So the manifold, while we're waiting on that glass to cool, let's grab the phone over here. The manifold has this piece right here that broke off. So it came in here, and I've broken it a lot trying to fix it. It came up, then it came to this piece, and it came out, right? So this was hooked up here somewhere, came out, and came over here, and then came over here, and then went out to the glass table. So I need to figure out how to get this manifold, and I can't F it up too much more because I'll screw it up. But I need to, and this doesn't have to be there. My uncle put that in there thinking it was going to catch, bad stuff in the glass, which it could have. I'm getting to a point where I could make that bend, cut it here and make a new one, level it up, whatever. But how am I going to get it down from this size glass to that 5 mil glass right there? That's kind of an issue I'm dealing with right now. I could probably use these 10 mil, but I don't know how I'm going to make it smaller so that I can get 5 mil glass in there. If anybody has an idea on that, cool, let me know. Because I can't do anything with the neon plant until I figure that out. I'm using propane tank as my camera holder because I don't have a camera holder yet. I'm going to work on that. So let's see if the old glass has cooled down a little bit. That one's still really hot. This is the first one I did. All right, so that's cool. Does it break? Holy shit. That's a solid piece of glass, guys. I mean, holy heck. I need to watch my mouth, right? That didn't break. That's solid. That's the first weld I've done that hasn't broken. That's more exciting than you think it is. So the goal now is, if this one doesn't break, to just cut them again somewhere else, not where the weld's at, right? But cut them down here, right? And then try to weld them together again. Just keep making welds, right? So I can cut this here and I can try to weld this together. And if that holds together there, then great. But the more I do these welds, the more I'm going to learn how to do it. That's still hot. That one is warm, not hot. But that, y'all, that's that's pretty cool. My uncle had to start somewhere. So at one time, he did exactly what I'm doing now, minus the video recording. But he did exactly what I'm doing now. About 1997 or so. I think it was 97. I think I was still working for him. Might have been 98, 99, actually. I think I was still working for him at the Vasca. Or I'd just gone out to Carmike, but I think I was still at the Vasca. And he bought this neon plant. We went over and watched him. And the first pieces of glass he was bending was just like what I'm doing now. And he was horrible at it, like really bad. And I remember getting in the truck and thinking to myself, what in the hell is he doing? He is never going to figure this out. And sure enough, he figured it out. That's where all these signs came from. He's fixed something on all these signs. While we wait on that piece of glass to cool, we have a little neon tester. Now, I bought this. He has an old open sign, so he used to take these signs. They're just little 12-volt signs you plug in, plug it into the wall, have a little on-off switch, 12-volt transformer that converts to something so that neon will light up. A small amount of neon. He would steal those out of these boxes so he could light things up in like cars and stuff like that. My brother has it, and we'll have to find it. But he's got a neon middle finger. Lights up red, it's actual neon. And it's on a flashing transformer. So when we were out riding in deer woods, which was we weren't actually going deer hunting, we were just riding 4-wheel drive vehicles and things like that. The hobo would put that in the back window of his Jeep, so every time he'd hit the brakes, it'd flip you off with the neon. But so this tester here, this is one I bought. This isn't one that he had. I bought it because it's portable. He had one that's not portable. You have to plug in. It's a lot higher voltage. It's basically a little Tesla coil. Pretty neat. This here doesn't do much of anything. It will create a little spark, but if you lay it on the neon, you can sometimes get them to light up, right? It's got like an antenna on it. It works better if you just hold it right in here, you know, and it'll light it up. Again, this is such low voltage, it's not really doing much. It's better if you have access to the electrode points. If you touch those, you'll watch it light up, you know, a hell of a lot more. And you can see a little voltage to this. You know, you'll see a little purple spark over here. I don't know if you can see that. You know, so you can get a little bit out of it. Now, again, that's 2 AA batteries. It's a good way to test, you know, some neon, just to, if you have access to the electrode especially. Will it light these up? It kind of will, you know, so you can at least tell if it's got gas in it. If you don't get anything, the gas isn't working. But what it'll do is also tell you what color things are, because if it'll light up, you get a color out of it. Like I can't get that one to light at all. There we go. I got a little color out of that. That's orange. You know, that's neon. So you can get something out of it. Now there's a much bigger one right here. That is a damn Tesla coil, and it will wake you up. So this guy should be cool. This is the second one, and it's cool to the touch. And you know what? I'll be damned. It's a good weld. It's not coming apart. So that's, holy shit, guys. I've just welded twice. Twice. It's 2 more than I've ever done. So we're on a roll, right? You're only going to get good at something if you do it multiple times. So we're going to put this on here. We're going to come out to about here, and we're going to cut this. Only works when it's on though, right? So we're going to cut this one right about here. Look at there. Your cuts get better if you don't hold the damn thing on there too long. Look, I'm learning every step. You guys are going to get tired of these videos. I know you will. So again, you put the cork in to seal it up, right? And you put this end on to seal it up here. And you use your breath to keep it from collapsing when you're welding. So we're going to hit that a little bit. No cracks. We're going to hit that. If it's going to crack, it's going to crack almost the minute you put that in a glass, is what I've found out. We're going to get her hot. And we're going to come down the glass a little bit, right? And the reason I'm doing that is I've noticed that seems to keep it from getting a little disfigured. And it helps the weld hold because your weld's not cooling too fast because you've got heat down the glass too, right? So we're coming down the glass a little bit and then we're heating. I don't know if that's actually the right way to do it, but damn it, that's the way I figured out how to do it so far. And I've got 2 welds that have not cracked. So 2 welds that haven't cracked means 2 welds that haven't cracked mean I'm a dadgum professional. Look at that. That's another weld, and that one's better than that one. They're not perfect. They're still too thick. I haven't figured that part out quite yet. But we're gonna let this piece of glass cool. Probably like so. Nope. Why was that? Why was that melting? What did I touch that on? I must have laid that on something because it was melting. There it is. I hit it on that plastic bag, right? So I'm gonna cut this guy. Oh, I screwed that one up. I know I screwed that one up because I had it heated before I went to cut it. So there's a crack in that. So I got to go past that crack because I can't do anything with that. But I was able to get past it, right? So we're past that crack. We're gonna put the cork in it over here. And again, that's just so we can blow air into it. We're gonna try to weld it. Shit, I'm a daggone pro now. We're gonna hit that. What I really got to figure out is how to stop breathing my damp ass air in there. So we're gonna heat the glass up, right? Go a couple of inches in, 2 or 3 inches in. And we're just doing that so we weld this. And now we're going to go heating on the end. I'm going to try to keep these in the fire just a little bit longer this time. Clean my weld up a little bit, right? I'll be a son of a bitch if that ain't a nice weld. That's absolutely my nicest weld. Shit, Uncle Jimmy might be proud of that. Whew. He wouldn't be proud of that. That some bitch was hot. Look at that. Look at that.